Welcome to the Slips, Trips, and Falls Micro Training. At the end of this training, you will be able to define slips, trips, and falls as they relate to the workplace. Identify common causes and ways to prevent slips, trips, and falls. Explain some good housekeeping practices and procedures to minimize slips, trips, and falls. Identify some important tips for walking safely on slippery surfaces, stairs, and other hazardous walking surface conditions. Identify the proper procedures for the use, placement, and care of ladders. And describe procedures to take when a slip, trip, or fall hazard has been identified or occurs in the workplace. Falling at work may not seem very dangerous, but did you know falls are the leading cause of workplace injuries? Some of the most common injuries from falls include cuts, bruises, broken bones, back injuries, sprains, and strains. Chances are you have probably fallen in your lifetime. Hopefully, your last fall did not lead to a serious injury. Anytime you fall, it leaves a lasting memory. In addition to the injuries we listed, falls have been recorded by OSHA as causing over 1,500 workplace fatalities in the United States last year. Only motorized vehicle accidents caused more workplace deaths last year than falls. Even though slips, trips, and falls are common in the workplace, many of the cases recorded were completely preventable. Hazards that cause slips, trips, and falls can be controlled and eliminated if they were simply identified, reported, and corrected. Slips are one of the more common causes of falls. Many workplace slips occur when there is a lack of friction between a worker's foot and the ground they are walking on. This loss or lack of friction on the walking surface causes workers to lose their balance, resulting in a fall. Slips can result from slippery floor surfaces from oils and grease, wet floor surfaces like water or other liquids, slippery shoe soles, weather hazards such as ice or snow, broken or damaged floor surfaces, and loose rugs or floor mats. Trips are another common cause of falls in the workplace. Trips occur when people strike their foot or leg against something, causing them to lose their balance. Many of the common factors involving trips include the following: objects or tools left in walkways, wrinkled carpet or upturned mats, loose or exposed cords, drawers or cabinets left open, uneven or broken walking surfaces, carrying heavy or awkwardly shaped objects, walking with an obstructed view, and dim, dark, or overly bright lighting in the work area. Both slips and trips will often result in a person falling. Most falls result when a person's body shifts too far from their center of balance. There are many scenarios which can lead to falls, but many of the most common falls are related to uneven or broken ground, stairways, ladders, and elevated work areas. One of the first steps in preventing a fall injury is dependent upon those workers that first recognize a potential hazard and take some action to eliminate unsafe conditions or work practices. Yes, you are responsible for recognizing the conditions that could create a hazard and proactively prevent unsafe conditions and behaviors in your workplace. The entire focus of this training is to make you aware and to prevent these situations from occurring in the first place. Some of the most common hazards you should be actively aware of in the prevention of falls are the following: poor workplace housekeeping, slippery or uneven surfaces, improper footwear, eliminating commonly observable unsafe practices, elevated work procedures, and storage and loading dock areas. Good housekeeping is probably the most effective and easiest way to prevent slips, trips, and falls in the workplace. By simply following these basic housekeeping procedures, you can create a safer workplace. Secure all carpets, rugs, and mats so they will not slip or roll up. Keep all aisles and walkways clear of obstructions. If possible, run all cords and cables overhead, keeping these hazards out of the way. If these items must run on the floor, cover them with tape or cord covers. Make sure work areas are well lit. Replace all burned out lights immediately. Put away objects as soon as you are finished with them. Never allow clutter to accumulate in the workplace. Close all cabinets, drawers, and doors. Keep all floors clean and swept and in good condition by eliminating all protruding objects like nails and splinters. Cover or repair all holes in the floor or loose flooring. For those areas that cannot be repaired, control access by installing rails or grates. And mark or barricade all areas with spills or wet substances and clean these areas up immediately. If you see any of these things in your workplace, don't just walk by them. Take some action to correct the condition or notify a supervisor to get these conditions corrected. Let's go back to a topic we talked about earlier in this training: slippery walking surfaces. Even before this training, you probably understood very well how hazardous slippery surfaces can be. That is why, whenever possible, any surface that people walk across should be made of materials that are not slippery. If you discover a walking surface that is slippery, report it immediately to your supervisor. One of the easiest ways to make a slippery walking surface safer is to recoat it with a non-slip surface or apply non-slip adhesive strips. If acceptable for the work area, install non-slip carpets or mats. Wearing appropriate footwear can also minimize slippery surfaces. Always wear shoes or boots that fit well, are comfortable, and have soles that provide adequate traction. When working indoors, wear shoes with non-slip soles. When working outdoors, or if toe protection is required, wear steel-toed or composite-toed boots with non-slip soles. If working outdoors in severe winter weather, always wear boots with strap-on crimps or metal studs in the soles. Following these safe work practices can reduce the chance of a slip, trip, or fall occurring in your workplace. Always watch where you are walking and avoid distractions. Move in a slow and controlled manner, especially around corners. Always work with proper lighting. If necessary, use portable lights to illuminate the area. Never carry something so big that it blocks your vision. Get help from others or use a lifting device. If working in an extremely bright area, reduce the glare by wearing sunglasses. Now let's talk about something many of you use almost daily: stairs. Slips, trips, and falls frequently occur on stairs because people are in a hurry or fail to pay close attention to where they are stepping. You can reduce your chances of falling on stairs by always using the handrails. Handrails will help you maintain your balance when descending or ascending stairs. Taking one step at a time. Never skip steps or run up or down stairs. Always use extra caution if using extremely steep or irregular stairs. Never carry large objects that block your vision while using stairs. If your line of sight is even partially blocked, you may not be able to see an obstacle on the stairway. Make sure all stair railings are firmly attached or anchored, and there are no loose or worn floor coverings, such as carpets or non-slip strips needing repair. Avoid using any stairs that are covered with ice, water, or oils. If you find there are slippery substances on stairs, clean them up to prevent yourself or others from slipping. When maintained properly and used for the intended purposes, ladders are a simple and effective tool. However, each year thousands of workers are killed or injured in ladder falls. As a result, there are established safety guidelines for working with ladders. These guidelines include the following: always use the appropriate ladder for the job you are performing. Never use other objects, such as chairs, pallets, or boxes, as a substitute for a proper ladder. Always inspect the ladder before use to ensure it is in safe working order. The inspection should include, at a minimum, checking all rungs and rails, making sure they are not broken, damaged, and are free of slippery debris like oil and mud. Damaged ladders should be immediately taken out of service and tagged with a out of service tag. Make sure the ladder is properly anchored on a level, non-slip surface. Make sure the ladder has anti-slip feet or coverings. When climbing a ladder or descending, never be in a hurry. Use slow, deliberate steps on each rung of the ladder. Always keep 3 points of contact on the ladder. This includes one hand, 2 feet, or 2 hands, and 1 foot in contact with the ladder always. If 3 points of contact cannot be maintained, you should wear additional fall protection or prevention devices. Always face the ladder when climbing up or down. Never stand on the top 2 steps of a step ladder or the top 3 rungs of an extension ladder, because the ladder could slide or you could lose your balance. Keep your weight centered between the rails and never reach too far to the left or right of the ladder while working. As a guide, your belt buckle should never go beyond the side rails. On a fixed ladder, always use a ladder safety system if available. Elevated work platforms are another area used frequently in a workplace, and these areas are a common cause of slip, trips, and falls. Generally, an employer must provide protection from falls on an elevated area for any worker using these walking surfaces or performing tasks with an unprotected side or edge that are 4 feet or more above the ground. Acceptable protection includes one or more of the following: guardrails, safety nets, and personal fall protection. Instead of always using or counting on guardrails as the first line of fall protection, you should determine the fall protection systems best for the specific tasks. For fall protection, each worker should always use a personal fall arrest system if the working height is more than 10 feet and a guardrail system. Standard railing should include a toe board on all exposed sides of the platform to prevent falling objects striking any workers below the work being performed above. Any elevated work positions should be evaluated for working load capacities. These load capacities should include the weight of the worker, the weight of any equipment being used, and the weight of any other objects, materials on the platform. Storage and loading dock areas are another place where slips, trips, and falls can occur. Here are some tips to remember when working in these areas. Always leave adequate walking space between pallets when staging, and always walk around the pallets rather than stepping on or over them. Always walk around a parked string of trailers. Never walk between trailers and over the tongue and hitch of the attached trailer. Always be aware of potholes or breaks in the pavement. Always use chocks and dock hitches to prevent any movement of the trailer. And use portable railings to prevent accidental falls from the dock or dock plate. If you discover a hazard that could lead to a fall, always alert others of the situation and place a warning sign or visible notification in the area. Block off the hazard and try to correct the hazard if possible. If you are unable to correct the hazard, report the issue to your supervisor immediately. If you witness or are involved in a slip, trip, or fall, to include a near miss, always report the incident to your manager or supervisor immediately. This provides an opportunity to correct the issue. If you fall, there are several things you can do to maintain control and help minimize or avoid an injury. Tuck your chin down to your chest and cover your head and neck with your hands. Try to land on large parts of your body, like your sides or buttocks. You should always try to avoid landing on your head, back, or small body parts, like your elbow or wrists. Avoid trying to break your fall by extending your hands and arms and locking your elbows. This frequently leads to broken bones. If you observe a fall and it results in a minor injury, assist the worker with the appropriate assistance. For more serious injuries, always follow your work instructions or procedures for requesting assistance from qualified emergency medical personnel. Be especially careful not to touch or move the person if there is any chance of a neck or back injury. Once the injury has been taken care of, always report the incident and complete an incident report form. Slips, trips, and falls must be taken seriously because they are a major cause of workplace injuries and fatalities. The use of safe walking surfaces, proper footwear that provides necessary traction, good housekeeping, and safe work practices can dramatically reduce the chances of a fall at work. We have covered several topics related to slips, trips, and falls in this micro training. Now, let's check your knowledge on the topics we discussed.